Welcome back to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into something really fascinating. A part of AI that, well, it feels like the future is kind of arriving right now.
It definitely has that feel.
You're probably familiar with tools that generate text or images, based on prompts, what we call generative AI.
Mm-hmm. ChatGPT, Midjourney, those sorts of things.
Exactly. But there's this evolution happening. It's sort of next frontier AI system. And it doesn't just create content, it can actually act on its own to achieve complex goals.
Right. It's called Agentic AI.
Agentic AI. It's a big step, isn't it? Moving AI from just reacting to, well, being proactive.
It's a really significant evolution. Yeah. Pushing AI beyond just simple tasks into, like you said, proactive, goal-oriented behavior.
Right. And to help you cut through all the hype and really get what this means, we've done what we always do. We've taken a stack of sources, articles, some research papers, real-world examples, and boiled down the key insights on agentic AI, just for you.
Our mission today is pretty clear, I think.
Yeah, we want to unpack what agentic AI actually is, show you exactly how it's different from the Gen AI you might already use.
Explore the incredible things it can potentially do, but also look honestly at the real challenges it faces.
And crucially, what this might mean for your work, for the job market.
So by the end of this deep dive, you should have a much clearer picture, feel informed, and kind of ready for this next wave of AI. Understanding the potential, but also the things we need to consider for, using it responsibly.
Absolutely. And speaking of learning about AI, just quickly, as you continue exploring this stuff, you can get a discount for the AI course over at rogermanicum.com.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just use the coupon code QPT at checkout. That's Q-P-.
Okay, shameless plug over.
I got it.
So let's start at the beginning. Agentic AI, it builds on an older concept, right? The idea of an intelligent agent. Now, that sounds maybe a bit technical.
It can sound that way, but the core idea is actually pretty simple. Think of an intelligent agent as basically any system that can perceive its environment. Okay, so it senses things.
Yeah, senses things, makes decisions based on what it perceives, and then takes action, all to achieve a specific goal.
A goal.
Right, and that goal could be super basic, like, a thermostat keeping a room temperature steady, or it could be incredibly complex, like navigating a self-driving car safely. It's this fundamental loop. Sense, think, act.
Sense, think, act. Okay, so where does agentic AI fit into that picture? Is it just like a fancy new name for the same thing?
Not really, no. It's more like a specialized, much more sophisticated subset of intelligent agents. Researchers, commentators, they kind of see agentic AI as these evolved agents.
Evolved how?
They're designed to handle much more complex tasks autonomously, often over extended periods, and crucially in environments that can be dynamic, unpredictable.
Ah, so it's not just one simple reaction.
Exactly. It's less about reacting to a single input, like a prompt, and more about proactively pursuing a defined objective through a whole series of steps. It might need to coordinate different tools, different information sources, all on its own.
Okay, that proactive and multi-step part, that feels key. Which brings us to the big comparison everyone wants to understand. How is this agentic AI actually different from the generative AI we're all, getting used to? Like the chatbots writing emails or code for us.
Yeah, this is the really crucial distinction. It comes up again and again in the sources. And while they might use similar tech underneath like large language models or LLMs,
right,
their core purpose, their function, how they operate, it's fundamentally different.
Okay, lay it out for us then. What's the absolute core difference?
The core function, generative AI, its job is to generate content. You give it a prompt, instructions, and it gives you text or an image or code back.
Okay, create stuff.
Agentic AI, on the other hand, its function is to execute multi-step tasks autonomously. You give it a goal, and it figures out how to achieve it and does the steps. It's designed to do things in the world, not just create output about them.
Got it. So Gen AI creates, agentic AI does.
It helps clarify. And this difference in function means they handle very different kinds of tasks.
How so?
Well, Gen AI is great for those discrete sort of single-shot tasks. Draft this email, summarize this report, write some code for this function.
Right, one thing at a time.
Exactly. Agentic AI is built for complex, chained tasks.
Wow.
Think about conducting research across multiple sources, analyzing the findings, maybe coordinating actions across different software systems, and then reporting back. It's managing a whole workflow.
Okay, that definitely sounds more involved. And I guess that implies a big difference in how much sort of hand-holding.
Huge difference. Gen AI generally has low autonomy. You need to prompt it for each piece of content, guide each step. Agentic AI is designed for high autonomy. Once you set the objective, it can plan and operate pretty independently. It figures out the sequence of actions needed without you constantly directing it.
Which must lead to different benefits then.
Absolutely. The key benefit of Gen AI is accelerating content creation and handling simple Q&A really fast. The key benefit of agentic AI is automating complex processes and tackling multifaceted problems. That's where you see the potential to free up significant amounts of human time and effort.
Makes sense. And what about the downsides or the things you need to watch out for? We hear a lot about checking Gen AI's facts, the whole hallucination problem.
Right, that's a big one for Gen AI.
Yeah.
You need careful prompting, and yes, fact-checking is absolutely essential because they can just make things up confidently.
And for agentic AI, since it's doing things.
The considerations are different. While defining the goal clearly is vital, the key consideration is implementing robust oversight and validation checkpoints. Because the agent is taking actions, potentially interacting with real business systems or even the physical world.
You need to be sure it's doing the right thing.
Exactly. You need safeguards. You need ways to monitor and, if necessary, intervene to make sure its actions are correct, safe, and aligned with the overall goal.
That really clarifies the distinction. Okay, so this agentic AI, it sounds like it operates in a kind of loop to achieve. You mentioned sensing, thinking, acting. How does that process actually?
Yeah, the sources often describe it as a kind of four-step cycle, operating continuously. First, it perceives. It gathers data from its environment. That could be digital inputs, sensors, databases, emails, websites, whatever it has access to.
Okay, takes in the information. Step one.
Step one. Then step two, it reasons. This is often where a large language model, an LLM, acts as the sort of central brain or the orchestrator.
The orchestrator, okay.
Yeah, it interprets the task based on the goal, it plans the necessary steps, and it decides which tools or other AI models it might need to use to execute those steps.
And does it just use its general knowledge for that?
It can, but often this reasoning step involves using techniques like RAG retrieval augmented generation,
Oh, right. Okay.
which basically means it pulls in specific, relevant factual information from designated databases or documents to inform its planning. So it's not just relying on its, general training data, which might be out of date or too generic. It gets current, specific context.
Okay, so it perceives, it reasons using relevant info to make a plan. Then
Yeah.
what? Step three.
Step three is it acts. It actually executes the plan. This usually involves interacting with external systems, software, databases, websites, maybe even physical hardware through APIs.
APIs, the things that let programs talk to each other.
Exactly. This is where the agent does the tasks it planned out. And importantly, responsible systems will have guardrails built in here, setting limits on what actions it can take to ensure safety.
Okay, perceive, reason, act. Is there a fourth step?
Yes. The crucial final step is it learns. It takes the outcomes of its actions, the feedback from the environment or from human oversight, and uses that information to refine its process over time.
Feedback loop.
Precisely. This continuous learning loop, often using techniques from reinforcement learning, helps the agent adapt and get better at achieving its goal. And crucially, a well-designed agent should also have the ability to recognize when it's stuck or when a situation requires human judgment and basically stop and defer to a person.
That ability to perceive, reason, act, and learn all autonomously towards a goal. Wow, that sounds incredibly powerful. So what does this actually look like in practice? Where are we seeing agentic AI being used, or where does it have serious potential?
The potential applications are just vast. The focus tends to be on improving efficiency, handling really complex tasks, and freeing up humans to focus on higher value work that requires judgment or creativity. The sources we looked at give a ton of examples.
Like automating complex workflow.
Exactly. That's a core capability.
Yeah.
Automating complex processes that involve multiple steps across different systems, things that are tedious and time-consuming for people. This also ties directly into consistent compliance. Think about industries like finance or legal. With complex, constantly changing rules, an agent can monitor and apply those rules consistently, 24/7.
Less room for human error there, maybe?
Potentially, yeah. They're also great at coordinating diverse elements, pulling together different data sources, interacting with various software tools, managing multiple subtasks simultaneously, stuff that can overwhelm a person.
And the payoff is...
Often, yes. A significant reduction in time to completion for many complex tasks is a major benefit. Autonomous decision-making within set boundaries can really speed things up.
Can you give us some more concrete, sort of relatable examples? Where might people actually encounter this?
Sure. Let's take customer support. Agents can go way beyond simple chatbots. They can handle complex inquiries from start to finish, analyze customer sentiment, access account information, execute solutions like processing a return, and provide tailored responses.
So not just answering FAQs.
No, much more. There are examples like telecom companies using agents to handle hundreds of thousands of client interactions effectively. Gartner even predicts that by 2029, AI could resolve something like 80% of common support issues with zero human help.
Wow. Okay, what about something like sales?
In sales and marketing, agents can automate really sophisticated outreach, building custom prospect lists, drafting personalized messages, tracking responses, initiating automated follow-ups. Think of things like LinkedIn Sales Navigator suggesting leads, but taken much further. They could potentially manage entire stages of a marketing campaign, from design and execution to monitoring results.
Recruitment seems like a natural fit, too, sorting through applications.
Absolutely. Recruitment is a big area. Agents screening resumes against complex job requirements, scheduling interviews automatically, even handling initial candidate engagement and answering questions.
Okay, how about healthcare?
In healthcare, beyond things like virtual assistants, scheduling appointments, which places like the Mayo Clinic are using agents, could really help on the administrative side. For example, with medical coding and billing, they can analyze clinical documents, extract relevant codes, check for accuracy and compliance against insurance rules. That's a huge time sink right now.
Yeah, I can imagine. And finance and legal must be prime candidates given all the rules and documents.
Definitely. In finance, think about fraud detection. Agents can continuously monitor transaction patterns and user behavior to spot anomalies much faster than humans. Large banks like JP Chase are heavily invested in AI and ML for this.
And loans.
Yeah, automating loan processing, reviewing applications, verifying information across different sources, assessing creditworthiness based on predefined rules. In legal, agents can review contracts and other legal documents, identify potential issues or clauses that need attention, even suggest modifications based on templates or past cases. It could drastically speed up due diligence or contract review.
Okay, what about moving physical stuff, logistics?
Logistics route planning is a classic example where agentic thinking shines. An agent can take in real-time data traffic conditions, weather forecasts, delivery constraints, and dynamically optimize routes for entire fleets. The projected market impact for this kind of AI in logistics is massive, like hundreds of billions globally.
Wow.
And related to that, in retail, agents can optimize inventory management, forecasting demand more accurately, monitoring stock levels across stores or warehouses, even automatically triggering reorders.
It really does seem to touch almost every industry.
It pretty much does. Think about internal operations, too. In IT, automating help desks, diagnosing problems, suggesting fixes, even executing repairs for common software issues. In HR, ensuring compliance with policies during employee onboarding or offboarding, handling paperwork routing. IBM reported huge time savings, like 75%, on certain HR tasks using their Watson X AI assistants.
Security must be another one.
A huge one. Cybersecurity threat response. Agents monitoring network traffic constantly, identifying anomalies that might indicate a hacker, like systems from Darktrace, and even initiating automated responses to contain threats. And even in scientific research, you could have virtual R&D assistants finding relevant papers, suggesting hypotheses based on existing literature, maybe even setting up and running simulation.
Okay, so we're really talking about systems that can gather information, analyze it, create a plan, and then actually do something based on that plan, send an email, update a record, adjust a route, flag a security issue.
Exactly. The power comes from intelligently chaining those perception, reasoning, and action steps together, autonomously, all directed toward achieving a specific, complex goal.
Okay, with that kind of power, that level of autonomy, it just feels like there have to be some major challenges, right? This can't possibly be as simple as flipping a switch.
Oh, absolutely not. You are spot on. While the predictions are pretty dramatic, Gartner's suggesting agentic AI might handle 15% of day-to-day work decisions by 2028, up from basically zero now getting there, implementing these systems effectively and responsibly. It comes with some really significant hurdles.
Okay, what are the main ones that came up in the sources?
Well, first off, there's the sheer technical complexity. These aren't simple programs. You're talking about complex architectures integrating perception modules, cognitive or reasoning modules like LLMs, action modules.
Right.
And they need dynamic, reliable access to potentially dozens of different tools, databases, and APIs we talked about. Building that integration, making it robust and scalable, that's a major engineering challenge.
And AI always comes back to the data, isn't it?
Always. Data quality and governance are absolutely enormous challenges. The agentic AI needs high-quality, relevant, timely data to perceive its environment accurately and make good decisions.
Garbage in, garbage out.
Exactly. Poor data leads to inconsistent, unreliable, or just plain wrong action. And the sources highlight how much time organizations already spend just cleaning and preparing data, like nearly 80% of data scientists' time in some estimates. Beyond quality, you need strong governance framework. Who decides what data the agent can access? How do you ensure privacy? How do you track its decisions? You need human oversight, audit trails, transparency. It's complex to set up and maintain.
Okay. Complex to build, needs great data. Must be expensive too.
Hugely expensive.
Yeah.
Resource allocation and costs are a major barrier for many. You need substantial investment across the board.
Like what kind of costs?
Well, hardware and infrastructure, for starters. Training complex models or running sophisticated agents requires serious computing power. Think high-end GPUs that can cost hundreds of thousands of rupees each. And you might need many of them. Cloud computing costs for servers capable of handling this can run into millions per month for serious projects.
Ouch.
Then there's talent. The market for AI expertise, data scientists, machine learning engineers, prompt engineers, AI architects, it's incredibly competitive. Salaries are high, and even small teams are expensive to build and retain. Plus, you need ongoing training for your existing staff to work with you.
And maintenance isn't free either, I assume.
Not at all. Annual maintenance, software licenses, updates, model retraining, it all adds up. We're talking potentially hundreds of thousands to over 1 million rupees annually, just for upkeep on top of the initial investment. And there's this concerning trend noted in the sources. AI model training expenses are exploding. Large training runs could potentially exceed tens of billions of rupees by 2027. This isn't cheap experimentation for most organizations.
Okay, so technical hurdles, data hurdles, cost hurdles.
Yep.
What about the people side? Getting employees on board.
That might be the biggest hurdle of all, honestly. Employee adoption and change management. The sources point to significant employee anxiety surveys showing maybe 75% of workers are worried about AI impacting their jobs.
Understandable.
Totally. So if you just try to implement this top-down as a way to cut headcount, you will likely face massive resistance and ultimately fail to get the real benefits. Successful implementation requires focusing on what some call collaborative intelligence, how humans and AI can enhance each other. That means clear communication involving employees in the process of redesigning work, addressing their concerns head-on, and providing really comprehensive training. Huge change management effort.
And with agents handling data and making decisions autonomously, security and privacy must be massive.
Paramount. Security and privacy risks are amplified with agentic AI. You have autonomous systems potentially accessing and processing vast amounts of sensitive data, interacting with multiple systems. They become very attractive targets. You need incredibly strict data protection protocols, robust authentication, continuous real-time monitoring for breaches or misuse. A recent flaw found in Microsoft's Copilot, for example, highlights just how vulnerable even major systems can be.
And ethics. Bias.
Absolutely crucial. Bias and ethics. These agents learn from data, and if that data reflects existing societal biases, the agent will inherit and potentially amplify them. Imagine a research agent showing consensus bias, only finding papers that agree with the mainstream view, or coverage bias, missing important niche information. Ensuring fairness, robustness against manipulation, building in safety guardrails, defining ethical operating principles, it's a massive undertaking. It's leading to the need for new roles, like AI ethicists and safety engineers, specifically focused on this.
And even if you manage all that, can you always trust the agent to do what you expect, to stay in control?
That's the challenge of reliability and control. Agents aren't perfect. They can sometimes get stuck in repetitive loops, misinterpret instructions, or generate errors, especially in novel situations. Ensuring you can understand why an agent made a decision that's the field of explainable AI, or XAI, and maintaining controllability, having those human checkpoints, is essential for building trust and ensuring safety. There are also some longer-term concerns floating around about who ultimately controls these agents, especially if large tech companies develop the main protocols for how different agents interact with each other.
Wow, okay, that's a sobering list of challenges, which I guess naturally brings us to the really big question, the one on everyone's mind. What does all this mean for jobs? Are these AI agents finally going to automate everyone out of work?
Yeah, it's the elephant in the room, isn't it? And it's a totally valid concern. The sources definitely reflect that anxiety. There are reports mentioning businesses planning workforce reductions due to automation. Studies estimate a pretty significant percentage of existing jobs have tasks that are highly susceptible to automation by AI in the coming years.
And it's not just routine tasks anymore, right?
Exactly. Even creative professions, things one thought, immune writing, design, music composition, are potentially impacted as AI gets better at generating novel content and analyzing complex information. So yes, The potential for disruption is
So the fears aren't entirely unfounded. Change is coming.
Change is definitely coming, but the narrative isn't necessarily one of simple mass replacement. Many studies and experts suggest it's more likely that AI will significantly alter how work is performed across most roles, rather than eliminating entire job categories wholesale.
So less about jobs disappearing entirely and more about the tasks within jobs changing, shifting focus.
Precisely. There are predictions that the amount of employee time spent on the repetitive, low-impact administrative parts of work could drop dramatically, maybe from around 41% down to under 20% in some forecasts.
Okay, so what happens with that free?
That's the key opportunity. It frees up human workers to focus more on the tasks that truly require human skills. Complex problem solving, critical thinking, strategic planning, creativity, emotional intelligence, managing relationships, ethical judgment. The things AI, at least for now, isn't good at.
And does this technology actually create new kinds of jobs, too?
Absolutely. That's a really important part of the picture often missed in the fearful headlines. The rise of AI agents directly creates demand for entirely new roles needed to design, build, train, manage, and work alongside these systems.
Like what kind of roles?
Well, the sources mention things like AI solutions architects, who design how these complex agentic systems integrate with existing business processes. AI agent trainers, who specialize in teaching agents specific skills or adapting them to particular company needs. Human AI interaction specialists, focusing specifically on making the collaboration between people and AI agents smooth, effective, and intuitive.
And those ethics and safety roles you mentioned earlier.
Yes, those are becoming critical. AI ethicists to guide responsible development and deployment, ensuring fairness and alignment with human values. AI safety engineers dedicated to identifying potential risks, building safeguards, and stress testing these systems. There's also a growing need for AI explainers people who can effectively translate how these complex AI systems work and make decisions for non-technical audience, building trust and understanding.
So the future, or at least the future envisioned in a lot of this material, isn't necessarily human versus machine, but human plus machine, AI agents as partners.
That seems to be the dominant and arguably more productive way experts are thinking about it. A future of human-AI collaboration, where AI agents handle the complex data processing, the routine tasks, the information gathering, thereby augmenting human capabilities and allowing people to focus on their unique strengths.
Okay, so it really feels like agentic AI offers this incredible transformative potential, but it absolutely comes packaged with significant challenges, technical, financial, ethical, and maybe most importantly, human, that we really need to face head on.
Precisely. That's the tightrope we have to walk. Moving forward successfully requires this really balanced approach. Yes, we need to build robust, technically sound systems. Yes, we need strict security and data governance. Yes, we need careful resource planning. But just as crucial, maybe more so, is fostering trust and collaboration with the workforce, not just imposing technology on them.
What are some of the practical strategies for responsible implementation?
Several key strategies emerge from the sources. Implementing strong guardrails is fundamental. Clear rules, filters, and constraints to ensure agents operate within safe, ethical, and intended boundaries, reducing errors.
Keeping them on track.
Exactly. Maintaining human-in-the-loop oversight is also critical, especially for high-stakes tasks or decisions. Building in specific checkpoints where humans review, validate, or approve agent actions before they're finalized.
So humans still have the final say in important areas.
Ideally, yes, or at least the ability to intervene. Another key area is prioritizing transparency and explainability, using techniques from explainable AI, XAI, and maintaining detailed audit trails so that we can actually understand why an agent made a particular decision or recommendation. That's vital for debugging, building trust, ensuring accountability, and meeting regulatory requirements.
And constantly checking for problems.
Continuous vigilance, regularly testing for accuracy, looking for emergent biases, stress testing the system, and rapidly addressing security vulnerabilities as they arise. It's not a one-and-done implementation.
It comes back to that idea of augmentation, not just automation.
Exactly. Right. The real goal, the real potential, is unlocked when we use AI agents to enhance human expertise, creativity, and judgment, not just replace tasks wholesale.
What an incredible deep dive, seriously. From understanding the roots in intelligent agents, getting clear on those crucial differences between agentic and AI.
Yeah, the doing versus creating.
Right. Then exploring the sheer breadth of potential use cases, but also grappling with the very real costs, the complexities, the ethical dilemmas, the workforce impact. It's clear this technology is set to be genuinely transformative.
It really is. And understanding those core differences, recognizing the implementation hurdles from the tech stack and data quality right through to change management and ethics, and consciously focusing on responsible development, human oversight, and genuine human-AI collaboration. That's going to be absolutely key for organizations and for individuals, too, as we navigate this next wave of AI.
It definitely leaves you thinking.
It does. It raises a really important question, I think, for everyone listening. As these AI agents become increasingly capable of acting autonomously in the world, how will you prepare? How will you adapt your skills and your approach to work in a future where collaboration with AI agents?
And maybe even bigger.
Yeah, and how can we collectively ensure these incredibly powerful tools are developed and deployed in a way that genuinely serves you effectively, ethically, and equitably?
That's the multi-billion-dollar question, isn't it? A lot to mull over. And just one last reminder, as you continue that learning journey, you can grab that discount for the AI course at rogermanicum.com. The code is QPT, QDHP.
Worth checking out. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, everyone.
Yeah, thanks for listening. Until next time.